people are not going to believe that this can happen. The drones which attack your homes, the missiles which attack your places and so on. You should be aware that this can be reality. If you are not prepared, you will pay a higher price. I am a former civilian. Yeah, I was a director of think tank and advisor to the office of the president. So if I would be asked whether I will become a major one day, that for me would sound a little bit fantastic. So I mean, the war is closer than we think of that. The deaths are closer than we think of that. So you should be aware and you should prepare, because the things the armies know about the war before this war are outdated. So you need to keep modernization, your knowledge, and you should learn our experience, just not to get your own.
And what sort of lessons can the UK learn from Ukraine?
Well, the first thing is about the commanding and leadership, because the Western doctrines, they are based on the professional army. But as Putin shows and we show that such a kind of war will involve millions of civilians in the army. And you cannot command them as a professional warriors. So you need to find another approaches to these people, because normally in civilian life, they were not so strict in discipline. They are not so strong in understanding the commanding and other things. So you need to adapt to civilian people in the army. So also you should change a lot of things, because the war is changing every day. You should follow the innovation. You should follow the things which just changed every moment, like the drones. So this year we plan to produce 4 million drones in Ukraine. But also we develop the new direction is ground robotic systems. There also the next year we'll have a lot of them in the war. So technologies, they change the tactics and the strategy. And you should be very updated about that. You should follow technologies and how do we use them on the front line. So all this is also important. And one more thing, the huge question during the war is communication. How do you communicate the war? Because normally army officers are not people who communicate in normal life, but in the war, this is for them a way to get more resources. We have a case of a sergeant who created brigade because he was famous on Facebook. So he used his page and he mobilized 4,000 people.
Do you think right now that the UK would be prepared if Putin invaded?
No, I'm sure you're not prepared. It does not mean that you you would lose, yeah, for sure. But if you are not prepared, you will pay a higher price. That's the problem. And the biggest problem is that people are not going to believe that this can happen. And actually, we had the same problem. In 21st century, to think that the columns of tanks can invade your country is something crazy. It's very hard to believe in that. And this is the problem. You should be aware of that. This is possible. The drones which attack your homes, the missiles which attack your places and so on. You should be aware that this can be reality. And this is the key about preparation, that people believe this can be reality. Well, first of all, you support us greatly, providing us ammunition and armor and other things. But it's okay if your commanders can come and look at the battlefield, look how do we organize the things, and learn from that. Different experience. You can go to our producers of the drones, talk to them and study what are the plans, how the things are changing, what is the future force. Yeah, so this is when you bring your commanders, officers of different levels, they can like attach a war. they should not take part in the war. Yeah, so they're like studying visits. So it's okay, and I think this can have a great influence on your army to make it more prepared for the reality, because we have a big problem that Russians are fighting with the humans. So they use the humans as a weapon, and not so many soldiers are prepared to kill so many enemies. And this is also a huge problem, because people lived in another surrounding for years. We lived in surrounding of peace, of believing of the peace, and so our big problem was a Green Deal, at least, yeah. But it can change every day. So to study this experience is very important, and to touch war, yeah, to feel it, is also very important. It influences warriors.
Do you think Ukraine should be allowed to join NATO still?
Absolutely, yes, because it's if Putin can dictate to NATO what to do, so it means that he's ruling the NATO. Yeah, so if you take or don't take a state because he says so, what kind of the organization it is. But the question is not about the NATO itself. Yeah, because NATO will be transformed according to this new strategy. Yeah, so maybe should be built the new alliances. Maybe it should be created new systems where Ukraine will be integrated in the defense sector of Europe, and because this is the Europe will win from that, because we have a lot of experienced soldiers and technologies for fighting Russia, and you don't have another threat here. Not Chinese, not other Muslims countries. You have the biggest threat is Russia, and we are dealing with that. So if to be kidding a little bit, so we are doing the job of your armed forces.
So it's almost been 4 years. Do you think Ukraine can fight for another 4 years to get out of it?
I'm sure the Russian cannot. Yeah, because we had no chance. Yeah, we need to survive. So we choose about die and live. So it's not a question. So we cannot make another choice. We cannot say like, oh, okay, we go away. We have no other choice. The choice is about Russians. They can stop. Yeah, but we need to understand that this war destroys Russia as an influential state, as a global state. So they become a very weak, and this is not their strategic purpose. So I'm sure the Putin will be more eager for a deal in spring, because now he really expects that he will influence us with the attack on energy sector, that people will be in favor of any deal. Yeah, but we need to understand the deal for Putin is an interim issue for the next war. So that's why we cannot accept any deal. So the deal should be something that stops war for future. And for sure, a lot of positions are on discussion. But the key point is to not to allow the war happen again. Yeah, because otherwise it's just a way to prepare for the new war. If Putin is reducing the number of our armed forces, so he just want to make us weaker for next invasion. So this is very obvious thing. It's not about Ukraine. Putin did not start the war from Ukraine. He started from a letter to Biden and NATO. He demanded to step back and to change everything. So Ukraine is like, for him, was the first reason. So the first step, he will go further. And this threat relates to every security of all the West countries. Yeah. I say always, if Hitler would stuck in Sudets for 4 years, we would have no the Second World War. So we need to say one thing: Ukrainians postponed the World Third War.